Linux Mint 22.3 versus Ubuntu 26.04. Which one should you choose? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you've been following the Linux world lately, you already know that 2025 and 2026 have been pretty exciting. We got Linux Mint 22.3 Zena, a polished, beginner-friendly powerhouse, and now Ubuntu 26.04 LTS Resolute Raccoon has officially landed. So today, we're going head-to-head. Linux Mint 22.3 versus Ubuntu 26.04. Two of the most popular Linux distributions on the planet, both long-term support releases, both packed with new features, but built for very different kinds of users. Whether you're switching from Windows, upgrading your current system, or just trying to figure out which one is the right fit for you, this video is going to break it all down in plain English. So, let's get into it. Background and overview. Before we dive into the comparison, let's quickly understand what each distro is all about. Linux Mint 22.3, codenamed Zena, is the fourth and final update in the Linux Mint 22 series. It's built on top of Ubuntu 24.04 LTS, so it inherits a rock-solid foundation, but adds its own flavor through the Cinnamon desktop environment, version 6.6 to be precise. This release is fully supported until 2029, making it a reliable choice for people who value stability and simplicity. Linux Mint has always been the go-to distro for people coming from Windows. Its philosophy is simple. Give users a clean, familiar desktop that just works out of the box. No drama, no complicated settings, no sudden surprises. Ubuntu 26.04 LTS, on the other hand, is Canonical's flagship release, codenamed Resolute Raccoon, and it dropped on April 23, 2026. It ships with GNOME 50, a Linux kernel version 7.0, and brings a significant focus on security, memory safety, and AI/ML workloads. Ubuntu 26.04 is supported until April 2031, and with an Ubuntu Pro subscription, you can stretch that all the way to 10 years. Ubuntu is the most widely used Linux desktop in the world. It powers personal desktops, cloud servers, developer workstations, and enterprise environments. With this release, Canonical is making a strong push toward modernization.
Desktop experience and user interface. This is where the two distros feel the most different. Linux Mint 22.3 uses the Cinnamon 6.6 desktop environment, and honestly, it's one of the most polished desktop experiences in the Linux world right now. The biggest change in this release is a completely redesigned application menu. The new layout features symbolic category icons thanks to the brand new XApp Symbolic Icons initiative, something the Mint team developed because GNOME's own icon set no longer supported apps outside of its ecosystem. The file manager Nemo has been significantly improved too. You can now pause and resume file transfer operations, something that sounds small but is incredibly useful in practice. There's also better search accuracy, regular expression file name matching, and a new template management plugin for power users.
For users who struggle with accessibility, the on-screen keyboard has been completely overhauled to be more modern and usable. And there's a new always-on nightlight option for those who work late into the evening. Overall, Mint's desktop feels familiar, calm, and well-organized, especially for users migrating from Windows. Ubuntu 26.04 ships with GNOME 50, which is the latest and greatest version of the GNOME desktop. The Yaru theme in this release looks much closer to vanilla GNOME shell. Canonical intentionally scaled back customizations to reduce maintenance overhead and keep things feeling fresh and modern. GNOME 50 brings a better Files app with improved performance, a modernized calendar app with an attendee list feature, improved sound settings, enhanced parental controls, and a significantly upgraded Orca screen reader for accessibility. There's also a new reduced motion option to cut down on interface animations, great for users with motion sensitivity. Ubuntu has switched to a Wayland-only GNOME session by default, with Wayland retained for legacy apps that still need X11. This is a significant move forward, and NVIDIA Wayland performance has been improved specifically for this release.
So in terms of desktop feel, if you want something traditional and familiar, Mint is your pick. If you want something modern, clean, and future-forward, Ubuntu is the choice. Performance and hardware support. Both of these are serious contenders when it comes to performance, but they take different paths. Linux Mint 22.3 runs on Linux kernel 6.14 with access to Ubuntu's hardware enablement HWE updates. That means users can expect kernel 6.17 and Mesa 25.2 in the coming weeks after release. On older or mid-range hardware, Mint's Cinnamon desktop is notably lighter than GNOME. It starts faster, uses less RAM at idle, and doesn't demand much from your graphics card. If you're running a laptop from 5 or 6 years ago, Mint will likely give you a smoother experience.
Ubuntu 26.04 ships with Linux kernel 7.0, one of the most recent stable kernels available. For users with modern hardware, especially newer AMD or NVIDIA GPUs, this means better support right out of the box. The release includes native support for NVIDIA CUDA and AMD ROCm directly in the Ubuntu repositories, making it a compelling choice for anyone working with AI, machine learning, or GPU-accelerated tasks. Ubuntu 26.04 also introduces Dracut as the default init RAM-FS generator, replacing the older init RAM-FS tools for a more efficient boot process. Hardware requirements have gone up slightly. Ubuntu 26.04 recommends at least 6 GB of RAM and 25 GB of storage for a comfortable experience. Mint, being the lighter option, runs comfortably on systems with less. Security and reliability. Both releases take security seriously, but Ubuntu 26.04 goes further in a few meaningful ways. Linux Mint 22.3 benefits from Ubuntu's security backports and patches, but is notably different in one important area. Snap packages are disabled by default. The Mint team has chosen to keep APT as the primary package manager, so applications like Firefox and Thunderbird are delivered as traditional .deb packages rather than snaps. This gives users more control and predictability, but it does mean some software updates may arrive slightly later.
Ubuntu 26.04 introduces TPM-backed full disk encryption, which is a major upgrade for anyone who values data security. This ties disk encryption directly to your device's hardware security chip, meaning your data is better protected even if your drive is removed. Canonical has also expanded the use of Rust-based utilities throughout the core system. Rust is a memory-safe programming language that eliminates entire categories of security vulnerabilities. Snap permission prompting is now enabled by default, giving users more visibility into what applications are requesting access to. Ubuntu also now supports Live Patch for ARM-based servers, allowing live kernel updates without a reboot, something that's huge for enterprise and server environments. From a pure security standpoint, Ubuntu 26.04 is ahead. From a stability and predictability standpoint, many users still prefer Mint's traditional approach.
Software and app ecosystem. Let's talk about software availability and how each distro handles app management. Linux Mint 22.3 uses the Software Manager, a simple, clean, no-nonsense tool. You can install apps in a few clicks. The Mint team has also updated the package handler Captain, which can now install multiple packages from apt URLs simultaneously, a nice quality of life improvement for power users. Since Mint is built on Ubuntu 24.04, it has access to the same massive apt repository. You can also enable Snap support manually if you need it, but the experience is intentionally clean and apt first. Warpinator, Mint's built-in file sharing tool, has been updated with text messaging support and IPv6 compatibility. Timeshift, the backup tool, now supports pausing and resuming snapshots, which is genuinely useful for large backups.
Ubuntu 26.04 uses the App Center as its unified software management interface, combining both APT and Snap packages in one place. Default apps have been refreshed. The new default terminal is Tixis. The System Monitor has been replaced by Resources, a GNOME Circle app that offers a more detailed and modern view of your hardware. And the video player now ships as a relabeled version using a totem-like icon. GIMP 3.2 is also now the default image editor. One exciting addition is the apt history feature, which lets you undo, redo, or roll back APT transactions. This is a practical improvement that makes package management much safer for beginners and advanced users alike.
Who should use what? All right, let's cut to the chase. Who is each distro actually for? Linux Mint 22.3 Zena is perfect for people switching from Windows who want a familiar desktop, users with older or mid-range hardware, people who want a stable, low-maintenance system that just works, those who prefer traditional APT packages over snaps, anyone who values a clean, distraction-free desktop experience. Ubuntu 26.04 LTS Resolute Raccoon is perfect for developers, data scientists, and AI/ML engineers, users with modern hardware who want cutting-edge features, anyone who needs Wayland and the latest GNOME experience, enterprise and business users who need long-term security commitments, people building applications or working in cloud and server environments. Here's a simple way to think about it. Mint is for living comfortably. Ubuntu is for getting work done at scale.
Quick comparison table. Let's do a quick side-by-side recap. So there you have it, a full breakdown of Linux Mint 22.3 versus Ubuntu 26.04. Both are exceptional operating systems, and honestly, you can't go wrong with either one. It really comes down to what you're trying to do. If you want something familiar, lightweight, and beautifully refined, go with Linux Mint 22.3 Zena. If you want the most modern, secure, and feature-rich Linux desktop available today, go with Ubuntu 26.04 Resolute Raccoon. If this video helped you out, please smash that like button. It genuinely helps the channel grow. Drop a comment below telling me which one you're running or planning to switch to. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is a great time to do that so you don't miss the next one. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace!